Hi, my name is Cindy Costales. I'm a senior librarian here at the Monterey Park Bruggemeyer Library, and I'm here today with Bill Shishima, and we're talking about Japanese American history, specifically the time of right when World War II happened and Executive Order 9066 was signed, and we had then the internment camps. And so Bill is president of the Monterey Park Japanese American Senior Citizens Club, which is one of the largest clubs, I think.
We have 650 members.
That's amazing. And he also is very knowledgeable about this time in American history, because his family was interred at one of the 10 internment camps, which was called Heart Mountain in Wyoming. Bill is also a docent at the Japanese American Museum, so he has lots of information to share with us on this sad time in American history. At the Monterey Park Library, we have a display that we want to invite the public to see. It'll be, people can come and see the display throughout the month of August. And so, Bill, let's talk about some of the things that are in the display cabinet that you helped us to put together.
Okay. Because of the bombing of Pearl Harbor by Japan on December 7th, 1941, President Roosevelt issued Executive Order 9066. That's where our book over here, Executive Order 9066. Basically, it gave the military the power to move or remove anyone from anywhere for the security of the United States. But 1 month later, General John DeWitt, commander of the Western Forces, told us who anyone was. All people of Japanese ancestry to be removed from the West Coast.
So at that time then, how old were you, Bill?
I was 11, a young American citizen, and by the way, we were in downtown Broadway at a theater, and when we came out, we heard, "Japs bomb Pearl Harbor." That meant nothing to me. I didn't know what or where Pearl Harbor was, but I sure do know now.
So tell us then what happened to you and your family.
My family had to adhere to Exclusion Order 33, dated May the 3rd, 1942, and we had to report to a local church on May the 9th. There, after we arrived at the local church on May the 9th, we boarded buses and had a police escort to Arcadia, California, or better known as Santa Anita Horse Race Track. My family was fortunate. We lived on the parking lot of Santa Anita Racetrack. I say fortunate because my grandparents lived in the horse stables.
It's hard to imagine that people were put through such hardships, but we do know that it happened. We have some things here in our display that I understand that once you got to Heart Mountain, what did you see?
Well, the Heart Mountain looks beautiful, but not if you're behind barbed wire fence and armed guards living in barracks. But I was a young kid of 11, I said, so we were able to join the Boy Scouts. So I have a Boy Scout reunion book there, and one of my Boy Scout buddy wrote the book, A Boy from Heart Mountain. So we have some pleasant memories about Heart Mountain Camp.
How was camp life when you were there? Were you able to stay together as a family, or did they have activities for the youth? How was camp life?
Well, actually, I didn't know it at that time, but to keep us kids active, they said, we'll have a Boy Scout organization. So we had 7 Boy Scout troops. By the way, the population of Heart Mountain was the 3rd largest city in Wyoming. Population 10,000.
When I've been reading about the internment history, they relocated many people from the West Coast, where we have the ocean. Many people live near there, and then they moved you to a desert, and you see this mountain, and you're surrounded by that mountain.
Yes. physically, it's a beautiful landscape, Heart Mountain, Wyoming in the background. And you can see right there we have snow-covered mess halls. And my brother, kid brother, was born there. And ironically, my dad named him Noboru. Noboru means to get above everything. So he said he's going to climb to Noboru Heart Mountain. That's where he got the name Noboru.
Now, one of the things in our display is a Chester drawers, and now you told me something interesting about that Chester drawer.
Okay, the people had lots of spare time in camp, so lots of them went into wood carving, stone collecting, and painting. And my dad got some scrap wood and made a jewelry box for my mom there. So it's made out of scrap wood there.
That's amazing, and you were able to keep it. Now, there's also another item in our display, and it's a book.
Okay, that book is very interesting. If you look closely, they're gathered around a flagpole, and that's before April 1943. I say that because we're doing the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag there, and if you could see closely, they raise their arms toward the flag. So Congress abolished that movement that we did. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. But in April 1942, they abolished this because it looks too much like this and the German sign.
Oh, that's something I had never knew.
So as kids, we did it that way, but no more since 1943.
You also have a picture here of your family.
Yes, that is our family there. My both parents and my two brothers and my two sisters there. So that was actually the only family picture we had. My uncle visited us from Salt Lake City and came into camp and took pictures of us.
Well, it's amazing how you've been able to share this history with us. And now at the Japanese American Museum, I'm sure you do the same thing. Is that true?
Yes, a little bit more detail. But yes, we have scheduled regular 1-hour tours of the Common Ground exhibit in Japanese American National Museum.
And you also told me, I think, that you have, is it an actual piece of it's like a wall of one of the, I don't know what you called it, where the people lived. You know, it was like a barrack.
We have a segment of the original barrack. The original barrack was 120 foot long, but a little bit too big to put in the museum, so we have a 40-foot section of the original barrack from Heart Mountain, Wyoming.
Okay, well, let's move over here. Oh, Bill, we forgot to share something else that you told me about this exhibit. There's also a very special picture here that you actually created.
Okay, yes. This exhibit right there is a rendering from the Lone Heart Mountain book by Estelle Ishigo. And a little bit difficult to see, but in the first barrack, in the windows, if you peek in the windows, there's 7 of my family pictures within that window in that scenery.
Now, in our next display case, we have a variety of things. We have some art, and we have some books, and of course more history. I think that your sister also helped us to put this together.
Yes, she's a collector of items, so she had lots of historic memories about Heart Mountain and a few about Manzanar Camp, which this is a little bit about Manzanar Camp. And Manzanar Camp is one of the closest camps from Los Angeles, about 200 miles north of Los Angeles on the High Sierras.
She also collected some of the different books of Farewell to Manzanar that's written by Jeanne Wakatsuki Houston.
Yes, and you could see the first edition and then the recent edition here.
And there's also the movie that was done, I think, 30 years ago with NBC. It was shown on as a television drama, and I believe that the author and her husband received a I think they call it the Humanitas Award for their teleplay.
Yes, and also for the writing of the story, they were honored.
Here at the Monterey Park Library, we are put together this display, and we also have had speakers. Bill was one of our speakers, and we had several other speakers because we have author Jeanne Wakatsuki Houston coming to the library on August 26th. And we still have a few more books that if anybody in the community is interested, we have free copies. We have just a limited amount, but we do have them. The grant from the California Reads Project, which is in conjunction with the California State Library and Cal Humanities working in partnership. Through the grant, we've been able to get people reading the book, so that's been quite exciting.
Yes, and Ansel Adams, he was commissioned to go show America what the camps look like, Ansel Adams and Dorothea Lange. However, when they went in, they were prohibited to take pictures of the guard tower, prohibited to take pictures of the armed soldier, and prohibited to take picture of the barbed wire fence. That is, if it's close enough that you could see the barbs. So America didn't get a true pictures from them during World War II.
But is it true that we did have some Japanese-American photographers that were living in the camps that they took pictures?
Yes. Toyo Miyatake, a commercial photographer in downtown Little Tokyo, Los Angeles, we had to turn in all our cameras. However, he saved the lens and film holder and took it into camp. In camp, he had a carpenter make him a box camera. So he was taking pictures in camp, but he got caught. But it was a very sympathetic camp director, so he assigned a Caucasian lady with him. So Toyo Miyatake, being the professional, would compose the picture, set the shutters, and she would come and click it. So he didn't take any more pictures in camp.
Now, also in the case, we have some art by a local artist. Her name is Tian Kimoto. She's created a large piece with the American flag, and she's also created two smaller pieces. The art honors her family, who also were interred, went through the internment experience, and I want to say, let's talk a little bit about her smaller pieces that she has here. Now, it's a symbolic art piece with the Kokeshi dolls.
Yes. It's very interesting because in the first scene, it's all open, but the second scene is covered by barbed wire fence, and then it says, "Keep gate closed." And also shows the American flag behind barbed wire fence and armed guards. And if we look closely, we could see teardrops on the Kokeshi dolls' faces.
And we can also see the birds that it looks like they're visiting the camp, and they also have experienced.
Speaking of birds, yes. Many of the camp residents had lots of spare times, so they took into wood carving. And there wasn't any collaboration among the 10 camps, but every camp did bird pins of wood. And the psychologist told us that it's the idea of freedom, that the birds could fly away.
It's very symbolic that Tian Kimoto, a local artist, did these two pieces representing the youth that were in the camps, because I understand that 2/3 of the Japanese Americans that were in the internment camps were children or youth under the age of 18.
Yes, they were so-called American citizens, but at that time were classified as non-aliens or enemy aliens. So we were not classified as American citizens.
There's so many stories to tell. I know that in reading about the author, Jeanne Wakatsuki Houston, who was 7 years old at the time when her family went to Manzanar, she has said later that there are so many stories to tell, and that is so true with over 10,000, was it 10,000
Yes, 10,000 people. So Manzanar population was similar to Heart Mountain, but in Heart Mountain, even though it's 10,000, we were third largest city in Wyoming.
Well, we hope that you'll come and visit the display. We hope that you will visit the Japanese American Museum, where Bill Shishima is a docent. And also, please save the date, August 26, 2 p.m., when author Jeanne Wakatsuki Houston, the author of Farewell to Manzanar, will visit the library and we'll be able to have a conversation. We're going to continue our conversation about Japanese American history in the internment camps. It's been quite an interesting experience.
Yes. So I'm looking forward to August 26th to see her again.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.